Well, hello, hello.
Oh, hello, Christina. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm very good. Very excited for this. And to
I
see you.
am very yes. Yeah, of course. And we're dressed alike today, which I'm very excited about.
When aren't we dressed alike, honestly? Like, I
I
remember
mean, you
seeing
wear color.
color one time and I,
Yeah.
almost fell to the floor.
Yeah. I mean, and it was navy of all things.
It was navy, one of the brightest colors, actually. Really one of
Yes.
a particularly bright color.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was basically black, but we're not going to get into that level of detail. So welcome everybody. This is our first product release LinkedIn Live. I'm very excited. And I'm excited to introduce everyone to Charles. Charles just very recently joined us, and he is our new e-com product manager. So Charles, tell the people who you are, why you're here, what you're excited about.
Sure. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. So yes, I've joined Flip in the last couple of months, and I'm Charles for anyone here. And I come from a fashion and e-commerce background directly, like very much on sort of the brand side in the past, and I really had like a specific focus like on the luxury sector. So what's really interesting in the luxury sector is that the customer experience is really not just to the products that people are buying. It's not just about, I'm buying a very expensive bag and I want that to be good. But it's really interesting in the fact that the whole experience, the whole 360 experience has to be, that same caliber of luxury, which is really important. And and because of that, so much of the whole experience is very much under the microscope. So from a product perspective, you have so many opportunities to constantly like elevate the product and elevate the customer experience. And I came to Flip as I was very interested in the relationship between customers and the brands, and how much customer service specifically is very much a big part of this. And I also really wanted to sort of show and consistently use my experience in luxury, because nowadays, particularly in a time of inflation, etc., customers are wanting a little bit more from their money that they're spending. They're expecting better experiences. And B, a lot of brands themselves are really beginning to sort of see themselves as a luxury player. It's so much easier now to have a very high quality product, and very easy to be able to sort of build this luxury-esque brand that they want to make sure that everything about it is as high quality as the product that they believe they've built, regardless of whether that's something that costs $5 or something that costs $5,000. At the end of the day, these experiences altogether are not isolated. It's not like a customer spends a lot of money on one thing and a less money on another thing, and because of that they expect different things. That's not really how customers' minds work. They expect elevated experiences driven from any experience, whether it be multi-billion-dollar corporations that have the ability and supply chain to get something to you within 30 minutes. It's going to impact how customers think. And really that's what I wanted to focus in on, and particularly how customer service is such an enormous part of that, and is becoming almost a channel for brands to be able to communicate and build reputations and sort of create healthy brands from through it, basically.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the customer experience, it's not just the buying process and the unboxing process, you
Really.
know, it's every touch point along that journey. Speaking of a journey, let's get into the subject matter at hand. Can you give me the basics of this where is my order slash Wizmo
Yeah.
thing and how it fits into that journey?
For sure. So, I mean, thank you for explaining Wizmo. I recognize that we internally say Wizmo all the time, and it
Yeah.
stands for where is my order. So thank you for explaining that. But I think Wizmo is it's this moment of purgatory, really, that is so interesting because a customer may or may have not taken a great deal of time to find the product they want to buy. I know we're shoppers, Christina. I have spent hours and hours and hours trying to find one very specific thing and taken so much time, read reviews, gone to a store to try it on, be able to like really search and find everything, take so much time to find it. And I convert and I click buy and I've decided on my product and I really care about this product and I'm excited for it. Or it may be a little bit more casual than that. It may be the
You
hundred.
could shop like me and be laser focused. You see the thing you want, you don't do any research, ask anyone for advice or opinion, and you just go for it and buy it.
Exactly, exactly. And I kind of wish I was a little more you at times. I think a little more like you. I think it would save me a lot of stress. But essentially, it could be a customer's first experience with a brand, or it could be their 100th experience with a brand, and they may be making purchases. Sort of, it might be like a new toothbrush that they've had the same toothbrush for years and years and years, and they want to buy just the same toothbrush again, right? But they've decided they want to make a purchase. They've spent their money. It's gone, you know? And
Mhm.
then this order is on its way in some sense. And I think the thing that's really specific here is like the brand has also released an element of control here.
Right.
We know so many times things happen all the time, but and the brand that is out of the brand's control, their product has left the warehouse and is on their way to the customer. The thing that's really important here is that that process between buying and it arriving at your doorstep is ultimately going to really impact the way that the customer feels about that product. For example, we've all had experiences where you spent money on something, it's taken forever to arrive, it's got lost, it's, you know, something's happened, you have to go to like a, you know, post office to go pick it up or something. And by the time that product arrives, that excitement that you initially had when you made that purchase is gone. And all of these problems, and even though the brand has released control, essentially can be mitigated by the ability to communicate accurate, efficient, you know, concise information with the customer as and when they need it. You know, I think that that is something that's incredibly important. So we're not essentially just saying like, where is your order? Your order's in LA. We're saying that, you know, a customer's asking, where is my order? We might be answering the question, but what really we're doing is setting customers' expectations and aligning customers' expectations and being able to address what's happening if their expectations may not, you know, their original expectation when they were buying that product may no longer be coming to fruition. So it's a little more complicated than just sort of the order's on its way and it's going to be here, but it's really about ensuring that the customer remains confident in their purchase between it, you know, between them clicking checkout and it arriving, you know, in their hands. I'm not even going to say it at the door, but literally out of the box. It really is going to, you know, influence that out of the box experience.
Sure, and that makes a lot of sense to me, especially the purgatory bit. I have to wonder though, why would a customer call for this information rather than just clicking a tracking link in their email? It is still pretty early, isn't it? I don't think that caffeine is all the way kicked
Right.
in.
Yeah.
Um, or clicking a link in text
Yeah.
or in a brand's app. I mean, purgatory is hard enough
Mhm.
without having to pick up a phone and call and potentially have to,
Mhm.
God forbid, speak to a human.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, to start off with, you know, there's many explanations and reasons for why a customer might call and go through like many other tracking options that they have to hand, you know, be it push notification, email, text, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, it's a customer's right to be able to receive accurate and efficient information on whatever channel of preference it might be. It could be something like you're driving your kids to school and you want to know, so you want to, and you don't want to look at your phone right then, so you want to call. Or it might be something, a little, it might just be, I don't like using my email, I prefer calling. It might be as simple as that. However, I think what I see for us, what we see more often than not, is that these calls are happening when something, I don't want to say when something's not going to plan, but when something unexpected is happening within the experience. And I'm not necessarily saying that it means that all customers are calling are super frustrated because their delivery is missing. It's
Sure.
because they have, something is not really aligning with what they thought was going to happen, or they just don't know what was going to happen and want a little bit more information. And I think I've actually seen quite a lot is that, like, through quite a lot of analysis, is that people are actually calling Flip or calling the brand after maybe having already looked at their tracking information or being able to track it. And maybe that's actually what's asking a customer to go, or sort of encouraging a customer to go to the next level. It's like, I see it's here, I want to know why, and I want a little bit more information about that. So customers might actually be coming to us not just about Wizmo a lot of the time, but they might be coming to us with Wizmo and another very specific intent that they want to sort of handle in that moment too, which I think is really interesting. It's like, my delivery is coming today, I don't want it today, or I'm not going to be there, or something. It's all a part of sort of the 360 delivery experience, but maybe for some customers, it just starts with Wizmo. It doesn't necessarily end with Wizmo too.
Sure. That's a really interesting point, and it makes me think about how the experience we deliver with with a Wizmo call is more efficient. And I'd love for you to when you're finished coughing, talk about what makes it more efficient and more accurate than, say, clicking a tracking link.
Sure. Sure. So, well, like I said, some of our customers might be calling because something, who knows what, is not going to plan or is happening unexpectedly. So to start off with, like you said, it really is our responsibility to make sure that customers can get access to as much, as accurate information as possible,
Sure.
efficiently and in real time. And we do have some tricks up our sleeve to be able to help us do that. So I think the first thing that it really impresses me when I look at some of the data that we do provide our customers with, and actually as a customer myself, when I've had orders that have been through Flip Partners and I've wanted to test this out myself, is that we're able to use data from multiple sources. So for example, when you make an order, so from your favorite fashion brand, you might get an order confirmation from the brand, and then the next day you might receive an email from UPS. And not always those information sometimes doesn't really have like an overlay, let's say. So we're able to take data from multiple sources, so both from the brand and from like the tracking information, to be able to create like one single source of truth, which for me is really important, because it's not just about sort of knowing how many times have you opened up UPS and it says your order has been confirmed or something like that, and you want to maybe know a little bit more, and maybe you want a little bit more information. So then you go to the brand side, and then you ask, and then you're exploring your information that you have there. What we're able to do is say, like, your order has been confirmed, it's actually being packaged right now and preparing to ship, which will happen then, and it's expected to arrive at this day, on this day, which I think is a really powerful information as a consumer. The second sort of thing that we have up our sleeve is being able to provide customers with a way to sort of revisit this information too. So many of our customers might know that we're able to send information to them via SMS as well. But I think the point here is that a customer doesn't necessarily ask for the status of their order once and never cares about that information again. So for example, let's say like I call today, it says your order's arriving on Sunday, or maybe Monday, for example. Does that mean that between now and then I'm just like, oh, it's arriving Sunday, that's fine. I'm of course going to want to check up on the status of this order as I follow it in its journey and be able to track that. So I think being able to provide customers with an easy place to find this information again is a really powerful tool for us so that they can just keep track of their expectations as we continue. So we've obviously got to make sure that this is quick and easy and that they don't have to go through this process again and again and again, which is, why our ability to communicate with them via text is so useful, as it really just ensures like a much more streamlined process going forward as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think about you and I have talked about those Ferragamo heels that I'm
Yes, we've
just
spoken at length about these Ferragamo heels, I think.
Yes, we have. And you are not the only person on the team that I have talked about these shoes with.
I think maybe you're the person who might care the most, though. I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why, we've talked about it at length. But when I do finally pull the trigger and I buy those Ferragamo heels, I live in Salt Lake City, so I can't order something that's in New York and expect that it'll show up at my door before end of day. That's not realistic. So, if I have that reassurance that I know where those Ferragamo heels are at every step in the journey, and, I know that they will be on my feet by Saturday night so I can, rock them at my favorite sushi place. That brings me an enormous bit of peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
Right.
and obviously, like that example of being a higher end product is, it's even more careful, but it doesn't mean that that's not significant for any level of product whatsoever. When I think about occasions where you might be traveling and you need something to arrive by one day, and you want to make sure it's really important that this item arrives at a certain point, because I think it's almost sort of fruitless to say that people buy things and it'll arrive when it arrives. That's not really, I guess, how it works.
No.
And I think it's so important to sort of acknowledge the fact that, like you said, there are customers in New York who are able to get, I'd be able to get a new sweater in 25 minutes if I really wanted it here, like that's it. And obviously that's going to bleed into my experience across the board. So being able to, have a solution like Flip where we can give customers more, access to this information across a variety of brands and a variety of partners, that is really important, I think, to make sure that customer expectations generally are aligned across their entire commercial sort of experience.
Yeah. I want to get into the weeds a little bit more, and I want to talk about how it all works and how we're ensuring that we are providing callers with exactly what they need. And in a more specific case, moving on from the Ferragamo heels that I will buy at some point, when we first met, I had just gone on a shopping spree and I had bought multiple pieces from Frame and also multiple pieces from Veronica Beard. And what happens in the case where you've got multiple items in an order and they're shipping from different warehouses, and I can see how that could become, we're going from purgatory to distribution hell.
Yeah.
So how do we bring it back closer to the bliss of shopping?
Yeah. So I think, the first thing I want to sort of say is around just this idea of how it works in general. Like I said, we're able to access data from multiple different sources, be it, the OMS of some brands, be it tracking information and any other sort of tool that our brand partners might have on their side that makes, that in different places that makes the information accessible to them, be it, the type of shipping the customer might have paid for, how loyal this customer is, what kind of order is this going to be, how often, is this a subscription, is this something, and what that allows us to do is really balance the kind of handling that we give them. Some things are a lot more sensitive than others, particularly if a customer, for example, may have paid, extraordinary amount of money to plus shipping, plus, next day shipping, etc., like that, and be able to handle things from that end, which is super important. I really loved your example though around, ordering multiple things from multiple different places. And, you know,
Yeah.
from as we see in the world, this is going to become more and more common as the world embraces a much more like marketplace approach. You know, we're going much more back to this sort of angle of making sure the customers can get everything as quickly as possible. And that's no longer maybe about being able to consolidate shipments that originate at different destinations and come together in one place before they go to the customer. You know, I think, you know, Farfetch is a great example as well of companies where you might have a basket of 4 or 5 different items that can arrive kind of sporadically. And I actually had a moment recently where I placed an order from a brand much like that, that I really needed one of those pieces for a very specific time. And
Hmm.
I got different tracking links, different information, but I had literally no way of being able to identify what is on the way. And I think I eventually think I called and got through to a customer care agent. It was not a Flip partner. And was able to realize like, oh no, this shirt I need for this party I'm going to on Saturday night isn't going to arrive. I'm going to have to figure out a plan B versus like, the package that was supposed to come on Saturday was actually something completely different. That I think it was a pair of like running socks or something like that, which, you know, I don't think were completely appropriate for the event that I was going to. And actually, it's something.
Flip branded socks.
Well, yes, you do. They weren't the Flip branded socks, which are a new staple in my wardrobe, obviously.
Thank you.
But it was something that really impressed me with Flip actually when I first joined, was being able to find these Wismo statuses that really, really clearly align customers' expectations of exactly what is coming when. You know, the shirt is going to be arriving tomorrow, the socks are going to be arriving on Saturday, and the bag that you ordered is still processing, and we're going to let you know when we have a delivery update on that. And being able to give that information so clearly, so broken down, so sort of eloquently actually to customers was something that I wish everyone had, because I felt the pain as a customer in that type of thing. And it just basically, also like you and me, I used to be at a point where I was getting like 6 or 7 like deliveries a week and not really knowing when anything was going to arrive and like what was coming today, or, you know, I have no idea. So I think it's also super helpful for customers to be able to just get more specifics about about, you know, what it is they're looking for. And I think even if a customer calls and they're not looking for that necessarily, like they don't care about if an item arrives by Saturday or not, but maybe what we can do with that is just proactively set their expectations. And proactively be able to say to our customers, like, here's all this really specific, really accurate information. As a customer, I'm going to feel really confident about my experience with this brand if I get that level of detail.
Sure. So Charles, we have our first question from the audience.
Ew.
And I think it ties really well into the discussion we've been having. Kate Kane asks, any suggestions about what you can add to the response when you give them tracking to keep them engaged or order again?
Yeah, I think this actually it's something that we're really working on, and being able to actually balance this idea of being concise and quick and accurate with information, plus also being able to give a little sort of added bonus or added service that creates a bit more of a customer connection with the brand. And for me, I think the ultimate thing here is it's going to really depend on what the status of their order is, for example. And I think for me, to help keeping these customers to help keep these customers engaged and order again, it's about being able to solve their problems before the customer tells us that it's a problem, or before they even recognize that it's a problem. So, you know, for example, if we're saying that something's out for delivery, what are we going to do with that? If they're saying you're calling for Wismo and we see that it's been delivered, what are we going to do with that? And how can we actually begin to mold this experience around not just why the customer is calling, but why the customer is calling plus what's actually happening with their order specifically. I also think that being able to like proactively address delays, or proactively being able to address, you know, your orders actually, I've had so many experiences recently where stuff has arrived way before I thought, where I've not paid for next day shipping and it has arrived the next day, and being able to tell the customer, good news, your order is actually going to arrive a little bit earlier than expected. We hope this is useful for you. We hope this is good for you. Little things like this is something that I'm really interested in Flippa going really deep in on, because it is this experience of being able to receive accurate information in this moment of purgatory, that is going to enable a customer to feel more confident about the brand that they are shopping from.
Nice.
Question.
Yeah, I love that so much, and it ties so well into my last question for you. What do you see in the future of Wizmo for us? How are we going to improve the process? Where are we going to take things?
Yeah, so I think it links back to the question that we just had for sure. And I think being able to handle customers differently based on what their actual order status is something that's really exciting for me to look at. And I also think just being able to sort of look at sort of how we can extend the kind of handling that we provide our customers with, just generally, things that customers might expect that they need to talk to someone about specifically, being able to automate that and be able to free up customer care lines for customers that really do need to speak to an agent, which is for very valid reasons, is something that's really important. But for me, I'm really interested in this relationship between, what the delivery or the sort of Wizmo status of these products means for the customer. So if it's still about to ship, for example, it's not shipped yet, what does that mean? Does that mean I can change things? Does that mean that I can update my shipping address? It's still with the brand at this point. I'm not a fan. People on the call might realize I'm not a fan of being able to let customers cancel their orders, but what can we do at that stage versus your order's actually being delivered, but you're calling us about Wizmo? What does this mean?
Right.
What can we learn from this information to proactively provide customers with, so that's something that I'm really interested in, and I think it's going to be something that we'll be having in our product releases very, very soon.
That's exciting. Now, Charles, we've got 2 minutes. I think I've told you this already, but I'm really going to strong arm you into it on the spot. Will you do this with me again next month? And what are we going to talk about?
I will. I mean, Christina, any opportunity for me to talk and hear the sound of my own voice anymore, I'm absolutely down for. But also any opportunity, second to that, any opportunity to talk with you specifically as well, I'm more than happy to do. So I would really actually encourage, people in the comments, what are the features you want to hear about next as well? And that's going to be, we want to keep you engaged. And, I'm very excited to do this more. And hopefully in a couple months, we'll maybe do the Wizmo chat again to talk about developments in this specifically too.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. But thank you so much for Christina for inviting me to do this as well. I'm so happy and excited about doing it.
I am too. And we did it. We did our first one under the belt. We did it. And Christina didn't swear.
I did think the same myself. As the Brit, I was like, oh gosh.
I know, between the two of us, this could have been actual purgatory.
Actual purgatory, indeed. Yeah. Indeed. Or worse, so but I think we escaped purgatory to a good place today, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if Brian is watching, he has been around me when I have been holding a flamethrower right behind his head, so he knows what that verse is like.
Assuming you were making a creme brulee or perhaps some sort of meringue tart that needed flaming, or you were just in attack.
Or an explainer video to put on our website, go big or go home, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy those Ferragamo heels, I think.
I think you should. I think you absolutely should.
Yeah. Thank you for enabling me.
Well, thank you everyone for coming as well, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
All right. Bye.
Bye.